I'm Leadrule, aka Mega Blitz. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Blissey EX and all of its friends here in this deck. I believe this deck counters quite a bit in our current meta and even the meta we're going to have post-rotation. This Blissey EX deck with Milotic EX, Farigiraf Ex, and Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon Ex really is a deck to be checking out. So let's jump right in to that deck list. Already here at that deck list. First off, starting off with Blissey EX. Blissey EX has an ability Happy Switch. Once during your turn, you may move a basic energy card from one of your Pokemon to another one of your Pokemon. Has an attack for 3 colorless energy, return 180 damage. You may draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. So 300 HP, stage 1 Blissey EX, an absolute wall of a Pokemon. And we have a lot of other wall type Pokemon in this deck. And some of those are going to be Milotic EX, Farigiraf, and Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon. So let's take a look at what these do here. We got Milotic EX with that ability, Sparkling Scales. Prevent all damage from and effects of attacks from your opponent's Terra Pokemon done to this Pokemon. It has an attack, hit, no splash. 1 water, double colorless, 160 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. So Terra Pokemon being like Charizard EX, Dragapult, Ogerpons, things like that. Milotic EX will not take any damage from him. So that's kind of our counter for those decks like Charizard and Dragapult. We also have Farigiraf EX, as long as Pokemon is on your bench. Or sorry, ability Armor Tail, that's the Terra ability. Ability Armor Tail, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's basic Pokemon EX. So we're looking at Raging Bolt EX, we're looking at Miraidon EX, Terapagos EX, decks like that where they have basic EXs that are trying to hit fast, hit hard, hit quick. You know, even Roaring Moon EX is another one of those type of Pokemon. Unfortunately, it still does not kind of counter Frenzy Gouging, but that's okay. Has an attack Dirty Beam for 160 damage for a Psychic and double colors. This attack also does 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So 160 to the active, 30 to the bench, being able to kind of block, like I said, those basic Pokemon EX. And the last Pokemon I want to take a look at here is Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX. Its ability Cornerstone Stance, prevent all damage done from attacks done to those Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon that have an ability. We're talking Regidrogo V-Star, Lugia V-Star, Arceus V-Star for some of the cards that are going to be rotating here pretty soon. But even cards that are going to be sticking around, things like Miraidon EX, things like Charizard EX and Pokemon like that. Even other Pokemon like in this deck, Farigiraf and Milotic, both that Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon will not take damage. So that's pretty cool. We got the Munkidori in here as well for that ability Adrenal Brain. Once during your turn, this Pokemon has a dark energy attached. You may move up to 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So being able to kind of manipulate damage counters and things like that is pretty helpful. We got the Tatsugiri in here for that attract customers. Once during your turn, this Pokemon's in the active spot. Look at the top 6, reveal a supporter you find there, put it into your hand. This is very helpful trying to find our 4 copies of Arven or Iono or Crispin, whatever we may need kind of in this situation is pretty helpful. So we got 4 Arven, 3 Iono, 2 Boss, 2 Crispin, 1 Research for the supporter count, 4 Nest Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, 3 Pokégear, 2 Night Stretcher, 2 Earthen Vessel, 1 Counter Catcher, 1 Super Rod. And then we play quite a bit of tools in this deck actually. We have 2 Technical Machine Turbo Energize, 2 Technical Machine Evolution, 1 Hero's Cape for the ace spec of choice, being able to just give a Pokemon another 100 HP. So our Blissey EX going to be at 400 HP, Milotic at 370, Farigiraf at 360, Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon at 310. Really can make a big difference. We got Rescue Board for that free retreat out of our Tatsugiri if we need it. We got 2 Artisan in here so we can kind of find all these basic Pokemon. And then for the energy split here, we got 3 Dark, 2 Water, 2 Psychic, and 2 Fighting, because we are still trying to win by taking prize cards. Just with what attacker is kind of the name of the game with this deck. Are we taking our prizes with Milotic and we're making it so we're not taking damage by Terra Pokemon, or with Farigiraf and we're playing against a Miraidon deck so we're not taking damage by basic Pokemon EX? Or are we taking knockouts with our Cornerstone because their deck is full of Pokemon that have abilities? We can also even knock out and take knockouts with Blissey EX with that return, being able to just fill our hand with up to 6 cards is pretty helpful as well. So this is kind of a Blissey EX and friends like wall stall type deck, and I've been having quite a bit of fun with this deck, and I've actually gone on quite a bit of a win streak with it as well. So let's jump right in to that gameplay. Already here at that gameplay, I got one of 2 clips for you here. So this is gonna be the first clip, and then we'll show the second one as well. These are just some of the earlier games I've actually played with this deck. I've had quite a bit of games since then, but these felt like some of the ones that really showcase just kind of the flexibility of this deck. So opening here, we got that Feebas in our active spot. We got Iono, Nest Ball, Ultra Ball, and then funny enough, one of each of our colored energy except that dark energy, unfortunately. So starting off here, looks like we're against a Ceruledge EX deck. They got the Charcadet. We're gonna go Buddy Buddy Poffin on their end. They're gonna get a Charcadet and a Badoo. So the plan for this this matchup here is we're just trying to get Milotic ready. We're trying to get Milotic up. We're trying to get it active so it can't take any damage from their Terra Pokemon like that Ceruledge EX. So Nest Ball going to be coming down here. We're going to grab ourselves that Tatsugiri here. We really got to be trying to make sure we save this Feebas. So exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to go into that Tatsugiri. We put that Rescue Board onto our Feebas. Track Customer is going to get us that Crispin here. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to attach the energy to that Tatsugiri. We're just going to rip the Iono, Disruption, get a nice fresh hand here, and we're going to get a Blissey, or sorry, a Chansey down, and then we're going to have that Technical Machine Evolution as well to be able to evolve our Chansey into Blissey, and then our Feebas into Milotic. So now we're in a position where even if they knock out our Tatsugiri and our Blissey EX, they'll take 3 prize cards. Sure, they'll have 3 left, but they'll never be able to knock out the Milotic unless they play like Canceling Cologne or something, which most Ceruledge decks don't. Especially if they do, it's usually they're playing the Palkia V-Star package with the Radiant Greninja and stuff like that. But it looks like they're kind of going more for like just the pure Turbo Ceruledge deck with Badoo and trying to item lock to get stuff set up. So gonna be able to just kind of go here. Gonna get a Pokestop. Get that Buddy Buddy Poffin and Terra Orb. Gonna have 2 Ceruledges in play. Terra Orb gonna find them potentially another Ceruledge EX actually. My voice just completely went out. Oh my gosh. They're going to get us probably another Ceruledge, but they opted to just not. So Abyssal Flames coming down here. Only going to do 50 damage to our Tatsugiri, which isn't too big of a deal. We talked about that Turbo Energize, which is kind of interesting because now I'm in a position where I'm like, I could just Turbo Energize and put energies onto my Milotic and then go that route. So we're just going to go here. We're going to go Pokégear. We're going to grab ourselves a Crispin here. We're going to be able to play that Crispin. We're going to get ourselves that water and that fighting energy to be able to just put onto our Milotic EX. So the fighting energy to the Milotic, attach the water for turn, and then we're going to go Turbo Energize. But first, attract customers here. We're going to get ourselves that Arven, and then, like I said, attach that Turbo Energize, and then we're just going to use the Turbo Energize, get 2 more energies into play. So we're going to put that Psychic Energy onto our Milotic, and then the Dark Energy onto the Blissey EX. Now, our Tatsugiri is going to go down here on the following turn, but not too big of a deal. And the reason for that is it pretty much just gave us an extra turn to be able to just get completely set up to counter this Ceruledge EX deck, right? We got the Milotic ready. The Milotic's going to be ready for next turn. The Ceruledge, all that Ceruledge is a Terra Pokemon, so it's never going to be able to do damage to the Milotic, and they realized that shortly after, that I'm just going to go throw the Milotic right up in the active spot, and that's all it's going to be. So let's get that other game booted up real quick here. We'll just kind of quick transition and make sure we got everything rocking and rolling. Change the speed so it's a little faster to talk with. Going to see a little behind the scenes of how I actually talk about this stuff and kind of how I commentate over them. So at the coin flip, we do end up losing the coin flip though, so our opponent is going to pick if we want to go first or second, which isn't too big of a deal here. Our opponent's going to elect to go first, so we're going to go second, which honestly isn't a big deal for us. That opens up our Technical Machine Evolution play, which is one of the cool things I like about this deck, is going first, if you can get all your stuff set up, that's great. You can get your, your Feebases down, your Girafarig and all that stuff set up, and then evolve next turn. But if you go second, you can just use Technical Machine Evolution and then just evolve everything anyway. So honestly, I kind of like going second in this deck more than I like going first, I feel like. Because you have a pretty high odds of using Tatsugiri or finding an Arven to be able to use a Technical Machine Evolution and having an energy too. So it looks like we're playing against a Festival lead deck. So this isn't a very competitive deck by any means, but the plan for this matchup, right, is we're just trying to use Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon. That's kind of the goal. Just your Pokemon have abilities like Boom Boom Groove, Festival Lead, all that kind of stuff. So they're not going to be able to do damage to my Cornerstone anyway. And we're going to go Nest Ball here, and we're just going to put that back. And I'm like, what do I need? I'm like, oh yeah, I need Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX. That's the play here. So Ultra Ball going to discard that Super Rod and that Girafarig. And we're just going to look here. I'm like, okay, what do I need? I'm like, do I need a Tatsugiri? We're going to grab Milotic just so I have something in the active spot if I need it. And I also kind of want to thin a little bit too. So we ripped the Iono there, kind of realizing, okay, maybe that's not the play. And I'm like, all right, we're going to have Turbo Energize here. So we're going to go Turbo Energize, get that fighting, and then get the water energy. Put it right to the Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX. Pass the turn. So if they end up knocking out our Feebas, it's not too big of a deal because next turn I could just go Crispin, put the energy on the Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon, and start taking knockouts. They're never going to be able to do damage because, like I said, they had the Festival Leave and the Boom Boom Groove attack. And the Dipplin also has an attack. I can't remember the name of it. I think it's like also Festival Lead or something. But it makes it so it attacks multiple times. So just all the Pokemon in their deck, unfortunately, just they all have abilities. So the play here is just lock you out of the game. You can't do damage to me. So Crispin here, we're just going to grab those energies. Going to get things rolling. We're going to put the Psychic Energy to our Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon, retreat out of the Feebas into the Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon. I'm like, I could bench the Munkidori, attach the Dark Energy if they end up maybe dealing damage in some sort of way. And then I'm like, all right, demolish 140, take a knockout here, take my one prize card, put us at a 5-6 split, and I pretty much just have my opponent locked out for the rest of the game. All their Pokemon have abilities. The Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon just locks that out unless they play Cologne and they can do enough damage, maybe with like a Dipplin or something, and they can attack a couple times. Because Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX is weak to grass, but I feel like even then it still won't matter, as I can just kind of Super Rod, put it back in, and kind of repeat the same loop. It's really one of the big strengths of this kind of wall stall control style deck. They're just going to go get the Grookey here, rip the Iono, try to disrupt, see what they got going on here. Gonna go into a Seeking. Once again, has that Festival Lead ability, so not gonna be able to do any damage to our Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX. I'm not too sure what the Foy Coco evolves into, but if I remember correctly, the Skeledirge also does have, or maybe it's not Skeledirge, whatever the middle one is, I'm pretty sure also has the ability. So they're gonna rapid draw here, not gonna do any damage, but draw 2 cards. So, pass to us here, we're going to have my Milotic EX, and I'm like, okay, I could just evolve, not too big of a deal. I have Iono, I have Energy, I have the Munkidori ready. Do I really need to set up this Milotic? And I'm like, well, having a backup attacker could be probably nice. So, that's exactly what we're going to do here. And we're just going to evolve, attach the energy. We're going to go Crispin here, get 2 more energy out of the deck, thin the deck a little bit more, and then we're going to be able to attach that energy to our Milotic. So next turn, we're going to be able to just attach, have a backup attacker, and we're going to be ready to go. Take another knockout here, putting us at a 4-6 split. Now, the other cool thing, too, is I could put the Dark Energy on the Milotic and then have the Psychic for the Munkidori so I can Mind Bend if I need to. But our opponent realizes that they're just not going to be able to come back out of this game, unfortunately. We've kind of just completely locked them out of the game with that Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX. So now let's jump right in to that outro. Alright, it's going to do it for today's video. Being able to showcase that Blissey EX wall stall deck, really being able to kind of showcase the Ogerpon, the Milotic, the Farigiraf, not getting showcased as much, or the Blissey, but just having all these different wall stall pieces, I feel like is really pivotal for this deck. And like I said, this deck is absolutely insane, and I feel like it's entirely underrated. So I'm going to make sure to put the deck list that I played in today's video in the description below, ready for copy paste in the TCG live. So you guys want to try it for yourself, you'll be able to. And while you're down there, make sure to leave a like, smash the subscribe button. I would appreciate it. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!